It's Whitetail Hunter coming at you here July 26th, and I'm going back to do some spraying, getting some stuff ready for some Brassicas. We haven't had no rain, but we might have some here in the near future. And I thought I'd bring a tape measure along with me and check out a couple of things. This ain't easy to do with one hand, but I'm standing by some of my Whitetail Institute, and this comes at all sizes. This is not all this tall, but this is I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's over 8 feet tall. Which is good. Now, it's this way right here because it had the right amount of moisture, the right amount of sun. You get it back in the woods where you're not getting any sun to it and it's shady. I mean, you might have a patch that's not even a foot tall. But the thing about this stuff, it seems to really come on late in the year. So even if it's a little shorter, you know, I wouldn't count it out. But even with, you know, down this way farther, it's not quite as tall. But the deer are walking along here because it's anything over the deer's back's cover. So they're really using this for cover. And of course, this is a little water swell right here I used to divert the water down. But this is that clover, chicory, and Alfa Rack Plus I put on this hillside all the way up to the shop. And it's growing like crazy. I haven't mowed it because it got dry, but it's thicker than fleas on a dog. And a deer coming out into it. I was surprised on how much alfalfa is actually growing in it, but it's doing really good, really thick, and I can look out in the dark and I can see brown spots, but I haven't put a camera on here, but they're working this whole hillside. Anyway, venture back toward the back. Maybe I'll check what these beans are doing. We'll just get a few measurements on stuff and see how we're setting it right about now. All right, we'll get after it. All right, we're down here in the bottom. I could hear the bees humming on this clover, but no, I cut this clover again right before we had that drought, so we had one small rain before this is that bottom food plot. It's just about unbeatable. Chicory, alfalfa. There is alfalfa in here, clover, but it's mostly chicory and clover, and it just doesn't stop. I mean, it is so thick. It's about 11 inches tall probably. But with this heat, you know, I'm not gonna be butchering that off for now. We're just gonna let it go right now. So we'll move on over and see what this soybean plot's doing. Okay, this is the bottom soybean plot down under the ranch. Nestled right in against the clover plot. And I hot wired this all in. Unfortunately, with all the beans growing up in weeds, the hot wire's there, but it's probably grounding out enough. It's not shocking anything. And I do have a deer that's getting in there. I see him every once in a while. But I do more damage trying to weed eat the beans out of it than I would just letting him get in here. So usually get one that can figure it out. But I don't know. We'll probably tape measure here. Give me a second. All right, I'd say that's just under 3 feet tall, but really thick all the way through. Looking good. I'm getting some blooms on them. They may be a little taller right there, but, and then they get down that bottom where we had a lot of water, they got a little shorter. But I'm pretty satisfied. Whenever I take the hot wire off these, we get some beans going on. They'll be loving it. So even with this dry weather, we got a good clover plot, chicory, alfalfa. The other hills are going good. There's the Whitetail Institute, the green screen by Arrow Seed. And you can see as it comes down this bottom, it's not as tall as up there. Well, it got driven on a couple times by accident and whatnot, but you can see the Kubota. I mean, it's still going to be a blocker for the deer, and it ain't done growing. Like I said, that stuff will surprise you. It'll come on late, and it'll put some growth on late. So down here, especially to the right, gets a lot of sun, and it's pretty dry, but that's usually where we drive at. And I did loosen up the soil and plant it, but you probably can only do so much. Yikes, walking through here is crazy. Damn cracking. After you put so much heart into these, you hate to step on one. You can see the flowers blooming, and you can see how they're shorting the fence out. Look at the bottom wire. But the deer, I think, are just scared of the wire now in general. When they see it, they go around it. And that screen runs from clear down the creek all the way up. Switches the sides on the four-wheeler trail. Got a little water gap here. Then runs to the left. Runs all the way up the hill. And they're utilizing it already. They're walking right up next to the inside of that screen. So that's good. Well, we'll get the power back to this unit, and we'll head to the back 40. See what we got going on back there. Now this fence row I'm showing you here is a different screen. It's the Border Patrol that I was throwing up against the Whitetail Institute seed. And my son-in-law broadcast it out for me, and I did the other seed. I did the green screen. But I want to see the difference. This has a few different forbs in it that deer might like to eat, and I didn't know if I liked that or not, but to me it doesn't look like they really been in here messing around, so it seems like it would work for a screen. Now this fence line, when I put screen in, is the very top choice fence line. I mean, my screen's always with green screen to the very best on this fence line because it gets a good sun, but not too much, and it's damp all the time down through this fence line because it's the low spot down to the creek. But I started it clear up top of that hill, brought it down, then we crossed the creek. We got it running here, and we got it running all the way down to meeting the crossing to where the other screen starts up on the other side of the crossing. Now, when I first look at it, I think it's doing really well. It's thicker as far as how many plants there are, but that has to do with, you know, how you're cranking it out more. Height-wise, give me a second here. Height-wise, I think we're gonna hit 8 feet with that stem right back there. And like I said, sometimes it gets a little shorter at other places. But as far as growing rate, like I said, it's in a really good spot. It's thicker. That just has to do with how much you crank down. But I think it would be a fine screen so far. It looks like it would be. I'm going to watch the stalks at the bottom, because I know the green screen gets really thick at the bottom, and you can't even walk through it. And I'm going to have to pay more attention when I go back up there. These look a little thinner, but maybe my green screen is still thinner at the bottom. I don't know. I'm going to have to pay more attention when I get up there. But to me, it looks a little easier to walk through, especially if I crank the green screen out that thick. But the verdict's still out. I got ways to grow yet anyway, so I don't have nothing bad to say about it. It may turn out better. It may turn out equal. Maybe flip a coin, and it may not be as good, but we'll see what happens at the end of the season. But that's where we are in this section. So we'll go check out some other stuff. Okay, that screen there is that Border Patrol from Killer Food Plots. And it goes all the way down to where I was just at. And this screen from here down this way is green screen by Arrow Seed. And you can see how sparse it is. This was planted, urea'd, everything. But this spot never gets a lick of sun. and it's fairly dry up on this corner. So this is the difference you can have by planting it if you don't get a lick of sun compared to somewhere that gets, you know, just the right amount of sun and the right amount of moisture. But it's on this whole fence line. You can still see it's considerably shorter. It just doesn't get that much sun down here. But like I said, I don't think, you know, if that makes it up to even 4 feet tall, I would constitute it as cover for deer. It don't take much for them to think they got a little cover behind them. Skip this little spot, and you can see there it got a little damper, so it grew a little more. It's along here, still really small. Top of this hill gets plenty of sun, but it's drier than hell up here usually. I didn't have to plant here because I had so much briar. Now this is all green screen here. And it's just about as tall as that fence. That'd be 50 some inches, I think, but all right, this is the other side of that green screen I'm walking in on at the end of the hole in the wall, and it's a little sparse and it's not that tall. The top of this hill gets very little sun, and it's drier than a dust storm up here. But all you need is a little bit to make the deer feel comfortable, and we get a little bit more rain in August. I got no doubt this is going to come on a little stronger and start growing some more. Now we got about 5 foot on the taller ones. I'm 6 feet tall. It gets a little shorter when it goes up into the more shaded area. To me, the stalks look just a little bit thicker down here. I mean, that's over an inch thick already. And I know when I took them out when they were dried, they were really thick stalks after season. But a couple years ago. Anyway, August with a little bit of growth spot on them, and we'll see how they're doing later. But like I said, it's already constituting cover as far as I'm concerned for a starter, so it's not a total flop. I'm going to show you a spot I call the hole in the wall that I enlarged while I had that forestry head out here. Look at it now. All right, I call this spot the hole in the wall. It had the oats, the cereal rye, and the winter wheat in it for a year or two. And it was kind of it was kind of shaped like an H, but it kept narrowing down because the woods kept getting heavier. And I took all the trees out and I brought them over here and pushed them in next to the screen. And the deer used to travel right along this fence quite a bit. Well, now with that screening and all these hedge trees and locusts piled up, they'll come up the fence line and they'll turn, and they may come all the way around and go back in, but it's almost like an on and off ramp. I mean, it's going to shoot them this way. And this whole thing has a little S curve to it, but even without that stuff, it's hard to see back in here. The deer feel pretty safe. But this was just completely full of trees. I took it out a little wider. And you're probably wondering why I left 3 raggedy looking stumps in here that I could have took out. But this was all that oats and cereal rye, and it had all them growed up with all the seeds coming off. I'll probably have a problem with the seeds. I imagine they're going to try to reroot, but I'm going to round up this whole thing. And I just run that forestry head through here. Raked a lot of it off with the bucket on my tractor. I still got a little more work to do on it. And I left these 3 stumps Because hedgewood trees, even when you cut them off like that, will start branching suckers off of them. They'll start branching, it'll look like a hedge bush. So I'm gonna put my platform stand in the middle. It's about 8-10 foot tall, and then when those branch out, it'll be branching all over. It'll give me some cover around the bottom of my stand, and I can shoot the whole food plot all the way around. And then black powder, I can shoot clear down that. That's a ridge of a hill all the way across. That's a drop off down that way. That area I call the pond. And in the fall, you can see through the woods really well. But wow, what a food plot this is opening up to be. And I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna round up it, then I'm gonna come back in here and work it up with my tiller a little bit, work some fertilizer in the ground, and I'm gonna throw some Brassicas out, big-n-beasty probably. And yeah, if it takes off, I don't know what kind of weather we're gonna get. That's up to Mother Nature, but if it takes off, we'll see if the deer come up here and eat it clean, because I'm not putting no fence around it. I left that one tree there because that's an oak tree, and I hate to take that down, but I'll plant right on around it. But for right in the middle of the woods, and this is like a main hot spot in the rut, they come right through this ridge, and they come right through this food plot a lot, and they rub and scrape all the way around it. So this really opens it up, because before you couldn't only see a few different angles from your stand, and even if you put it up near, you couldn't see nothing because the trees were all in the way. So that forestry head, I zipped through this and cleaned it out in no time, and we'll see what she does. It'll take me a while to get these sticks cleaned up a little bit, but I got a lot of them drug off with the tractor. Anyway, that's where the platform stand will go, right there, and just kind of like what's going on there with them leaves and branches coming out. They'll start popping out all over. If you ever seen the hedge tree get cut off, cut them off low, and they'll turn into food for the deer all winter. But it's just an idea that I had, so I went after it, and we'll see how she works out. Now we'll move on over to another one of my food plots. I think I'll hit this one round up as long as I'm back here. All right, I'm on the back 40 now, and I'm doing some roundupping. I round up the hole in the wall back there. And now this is that half acre that I had cleared off and tilled up and had a really nice seed bed. And I put soybeans in there, and they germinated. They got 3 inches tall, and a deer come in and wiped them right out to the ground. So it started growing a couple soybeans, some different weeds throughout the summer. And then I had a patch over here on the other side of my apple trees that I had tilled up and put beans in there, and they never took. I would say just about anything that I put beans in that I didn't hot wire looks similar to this. Because this whole section around here, then it goes all the way down around, all the way across that side and back up to the hot wire fence, was all put in soybeans at the same time, all planted the same way, and they pretty much got ate off too. And then the weed competition started coming in. This was a big brush pile. I moved it out of the way, and I pushed another one down that hole because I'm putting a raised blind in here. This isn't exactly where it's going to be, but when you get up on this platform, for bow and black powder both, there's the blind I shot the turkey out of. And I got what they call a crack that goes through over to the soybeans. That's the soybeans clear down on the very end. That's wired in. You probably can't see the sun. Pear trees, apple trees. What a shooting lane all the way over. And then when you get up in there a little bit, you can shoot clear over to where I have another stand up in there back there. And there's a water tank back by that big bush. And also right in that crack about 20 yards on the other side, there's another water tank. And this is a super hot spot up here. So this stand is going to be definitely a kill plot. And when I get them Brassicas in that area right there, I'm going to hot wire that half acre off. And I'm gonna put brassicas all the way around, big and beasty, and I'm gonna let the deer have those. See if they grow or not. Just like the hole in the wall. Now if they don't grow in the hole in the wall and they eat them off, then I'll put cereal rye, winter oats, and winter wheat in there. Anyway, that's it for now, and I'll go check out a couple other things I got going on here. All right, we're in here where I got another blocker. My killer food plots, border patrol, and we're pushing right about 8 foot tall on that. And you can see, once again, it's way thicker than the other border I put in. Green screen. A lot more seeds got put down, obviously, but still, yeah, the stems on them, at this point anyway, seem to be, you know, very thin, thinner than my smallest finger. So maybe you have to put more of this down, or maybe it got put down so thick that it's not give it enough nutrients to make the stalk thicker. I'm not sure, because you're not supposed to put this down super thick. So I'm kind of like Brassicas. You want it to spread out, get a big stalk on it. I haven't worked with this brand before, but I mean, it's definitely, you know, working this cover. So that's good. We'll see what the end of the year produces, see what the stalks look like toward the end of the year and how they hold up. See if the deer start moving through them, or they're thin enough that they just start busting them down. All right, we're gonna go over and check out my other bean plot up here. All right, this is my bigger top food plot, chicory all over. You've been seeing it kind of with the other videos, but it's really came in really thick. It's got it all. And that 360 camera, it pulls everything in. There's 200 pictures on there at any given time, at least, even if I check it the next day practically. But this, they like this brush pile up here. They like to hang out in here, and all night long there's deer in here feeding of all different calibers. But that's why I like that 360 camera. It doesn't miss much up here. This food plot here's really a good plot. It probably draws more deer in than anything right now. And in between this clover field and the other side, I cut this a few years ago with the forestry head on a skid steer. This is solid pucker brush and trees. And I cut this through here, kind of a wandering little path, and the deer love it. They're in here all the time, walking through here. And then I put a Y in here. It goes off a couple different directions, or crossroads. And right at the crossroads, I threw in my water tank. And that's goldfish right there. That goes over toward the beans that they picked. Before we go anywhere, I'm going to go down here and shut this electric fence off. All right, right here's where the difference is. Not fencing your soybeans and fencing your soybeans. Exact same planting method, exact same machines, exact same fertilizer. What do you suppose the difference was? Them deer will eat them things to the ground before they get started. I get this turned off and go on in there. Take it off of animal mode. I always like to unclip it, just because I don't need a jump start. All right, these are just a smidget taller than the ones in the bottom, which is crazy because this is bad soil and it's on a hill, but we got them at over 3 foot tall. But man, are they thick. I mean, you can't even get through this stuff. These beans are, this plot is really good size. It goes clear down, wraps around those trees to the left. There's a couple trees in the middle, and it goes down and goes down to the right. And you just can't even see the beginning of that hill. These soybeans are really doing well. There's them daggone Japanese beetles that's knocking the heck out of everything right there. Eating, mating, laying eggs, that's all they get done. But they can't hardly hurt this field any. I'll probably leave this fenced up till late in the year. But the old Gallagher's taking care of this, and once again, this is probably shorting out so bad. I don't even know if you could get shocked on it. You might. But they've got it a few times, and if you watch them on the video, they're 10 foot from this fence when they walk around. This area got taken by some turkeys and a groundhog, I believe. In this little corner right here, you can see how they chewed them off. The turkeys, they get really nervous. They get in here and then they get running around because they must have got shocked before. I've seen them fly out of here, but man, is that a soybean field or what? Thickest ticks on a hound. Anyway, I think that's about it. We might be able to see some of the bottom of the field. The top of the field seems to have done the best. The bottom of the field got a little yellow, and I don't think it gets the sun and it gets up here. You'd think it'd be better, but the hill seems to be a good spot. Oh, I better get this fence back on. All right, I'll get back to work here for a bit. I'll talk to you later. All right, we'll finish up this video. Very bottom edge of my bean plot that's fenced off. And this was all beans too, going down the edge of the trees. The only difference were they weren't fenced in. They got round up and got everything the other beans got. I did leave a little patch of grass here at the beginning. But those are all beans. I don't think they're quite as thick at the very top. A pair of trees. Don't mind that. And these are all beans. All the way down around them trees. Around them trees and all the way up over the top of that hill and back down again. So I think when I take the wire off them, it's going to be a pretty good deal. Anyway, I'm fitting in some work up here, getting some stuff done. I'm going to change out. I need to put in a couple batteries and change out another cart or so. And I'll head back up to the ranch. It's been too hot to be doing stuff outside. I've been waiting till evening. I got a little too much sun the other day on me, so taking it easy. Wednesday's gonna be real bad, but gotta get ready in case we get some rain from the Brassicas. I hope you guys are getting your stuff together. Take it easy from the Rock and Bee.